Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. We're in the middle of our Devastation preview season, and we have so much to catch up on because I was at Grand Prix Las Vegas losing my voice. So without further ado, get ready for the bullest ride of your life as we spend the next day or two catching up on everything to get us back to current. Let's move, people, let's move. Mirage Mirror is 3 mana for an artifact. You can pay 2 of anything and it becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. I'm a little late to this train, but my absolute first thought was Dark Depths. We're always looking for ways to cheat out that 2020. Thespian Stage is the most popular way to do it, but Mirage Mirror, not a bad replacement. So once the mirror becomes something else, it loses the ability to change until the end of turn. So make sure that whatever you're copying, you're okay with it being that thing for at least a turn. Don't want to open up your mirror to removal if you can help it. I don't imagine this being that good in Standard, but once again, we have another hilarious card for, you guessed it, Commander. Clone's real good there. Hour of Revelation is 3 of anything and 3 white for a sorcery that costs 3 less to cast if there are 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield. Destroy all non-land permanents. Sure, why not? Because Commander needed a 3-mana Wrath for literally the entire board. Hour of Revelation is the newest in a long line of Commander auto-includes. How many games of multiplayer Commander get to turn 4 or 5 without having 10 total non-land permanents on the battlefield? A few? Maybe? Hour of Revelation is a 3-mana do-over in Commander. Just let that sit for a second, it's totally brutal. Oketra's Last Mercy is 1 of anything and 2 white for a sorcery. Your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. We saw this with Buntu's Last Reckoning. I guess the plan is to go ham on an ability, then get punished the very next turn. This can bring you back up to 20 in a second, but you're hurting for a turn after that. It seems like a solid stall plan, even if it buys you a turn. The problem is that if you have this card in hand, there will be many times you don't need it and it just sits there taking up a slot. If we're talking Standard, I can't imagine this is going to be a huge game changer, unless a burn deck shows up out of nowhere. Of course, that is something that happens in Modern already, so sorry burn players. Oketra's Last Mercy is real good against you, and honestly, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Bad beats, friends. Bad beats indeed. Solemnity is 3 mana for an enchantment. Players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. My goodness, talk about a hose card for the ages. Infect got another enemy like it needed it. So did any type of counter, good or bad really. -1/-1 in Standard for sure. Energy counter, see ya. Solemnity is above anything else, totally brutal. If only it said Planeswalker as well, I guess we'll have to settle for pretty good instead of a lol ridiculous. Dream Stealer is 3 mana for a 1/2 human wizard with Menace and Eternalize costing 4 of anything and 2 black. You can pay the Eternalize cost and exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie human wizard. So basically this is Mega Embalm. Just like Embalm, but everything comes back as a 4/4, I'll take it. Lastly, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards that many cards? Wow! At first glance, I was a bit disappointed with Eternalize, because it seems more like a cop-out than anything else, but 2 things came to mind immediately after that. First, Eternalize is great if you can make cards that work well with it, like this one. Eternalizing it makes its trigger that much more dangerous. I'm game for synergy. And second, this is such a flavor success. As we get into the lore a bit more in the coming weeks, Eternalizing is a thing. I'm excited for this mechanic if we see more cards like this one. Desert Ceradon has finally reached his final form, Super Saiyan Gilded Ceradon. Alright, moving on. Open Fire is a card that helps make Lightning Bolt look like a piece of Power 9. Alright, let's move on again. Neheb the Eternal is 3 of anything and 2 red for a 4/6 legendary creature zombie minotaur warrior. Well, hot dang, that's a creature type. Neheb has Afflict 3. Whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. Totally savage. And finally, at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add 1 red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. Neheb has clearly gone down a more aggressive path, and I'm okay with that. This dude is insanity. In Commander, as it has already been brought up, pairing this with Aggravated Assault, basically endless combat steps. It's a fun way to live. Plus, Afflict alone is going to give you a ton of mana to work with. 5 mana is a bit hefty, and he doesn't come with any keywords, but in a format like Commander, this type of aggressive red creature that ramps you, yeah, This is real good. Pride Sovereign is 3 mana for a 2/2 cat. Pride Sovereign gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control. You can also pay 1 white, tap it, and exert it to create 2 1/1 cat creature tokens with lifelink. Oh my god, it's happening. We can finally make cats again. Felidar Guardian getting banned was the worst thing to happen to the cat deck, but I'm 100% back on the train. Imagine the Pride and the Caracal in the same deck. They're even in the picture with him, going straight to the top of the list. As soon as you exert him, he's a 4/4 and you get 2 1/1 lifelinkers. Real hard to say no to that in a cat deck. 10 out of 10, building that like right now. Ramunap Excavator is 3 mana for a 2/3 Naga Cleric. You may play land cards from your graveyard. I've been waiting to talk about this card forever. This thing is straight up amazing. This is Crucible of Worlds on a Naga, and yes, that's enough to make it playable. Crucible of Worlds is already a fundamentally broken card. It lets you circumvent the rules of Magic in a big way. This Excavator might as well be Magus of the Crucible. It does die to Bolt in non-rotating formats, but I could not care less. Giving yourself additional copies of Crucible, along with a body attached to it that can be collected companied, there's a lot going on here. I expect to see this card at least tested in Modern, if not in Legacy as well. I mean, you can tutor for this guy. You can tutor for Crucible of Worlds. I will leave you with that. Ramunap Hydra is 4 mana for a 3/3 Hydra with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. As long as you control a desert, the Hydra gets +1/+1. As long as there is a desert card in your graveyard, the Hydra gets +1/+1. Now this is a tough card to evaluate. First off, 3 keywords is never something we should be ignoring. Vigilance, Reach, and Trample are all valuable, but at 4 mana with 3/3 base power, I don't think Trample is going to be all that relevant, at least most of the time. Reach is always good and limited, and Vigilance takes advantage of a swingy game. In limited especially, I think that's where this card will shine. Get a few deserts in your deck. It could be a 5/5 for 4 mana with some nice defensive keywords. It seems alright, but not exactly spectacular. The Locust God is 4 of anything, 1 blue and 1 red for a 4/4 legendary creature god with flying. Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. You can also pay 4 mana and draw a card, then discard a card, and whenever it dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Okay, wait a second. Whenever you draw a card, you get a 1/1 flyer. How in the world is this fair? I'm a blue player, and I think this is totally ridiculous. Pull from tomorrow, commit to memory. There are plenty of ways in Amonkhet alone to just break this thing and get an army of locusts, which I suppose is the point, but you get what I mean. From the article itself, this plus Skull Clamp is just endless 1/1s. That's a great and totally healthy interaction that I'm sure everyone will find fun. The Locust God, while being 6 mana, does a lot, and I'm not sure a deck with this card can actually lose after untapping. I mean, you're generating flyers all the time. Needless to say, Melek, Niv Mizzet, and Mizzix players just pooed a little bit. Wow. The Scorpion God is 3 of anything, 1 black and 1 red for a 6/5 legendary creature god. Whenever a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, draw a card. You can also pay 3 mana and put a -1/-1 counter on another target creature, and when it dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. How is this fair? What kind of card advantage is this? In black and red, what? The Scorpion God is crazy sauce. I don't care what anyone says. You're in Rakdos, so you're going to kill everything. And you can even add -1/-1 counters to trigger your own draw ability. And it's 5 mana for a 6/5. This thing is beefy as all heck. Adore this in Commander. This is the -1/-1 alternative we needed to Apatra if you like Rakdos more than Golgari. This is your savior. I guarantee players underestimate this thing. Card advantage in Rakdos should never be ignored. This is unbelievably good. Scavenger Grounds is a land desert card that you can tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can also pay 2 of anything, tap it, and sacrifice a desert to exile all cards from all graveyards. We could have used this a few sets ago. I love the design on this card so much. I expected that you would have to sacrifice the grounds itself, but nope, any desert. Which means that we're looking at some direct graveyard hate, finally. I'm glad it's here, but wow, super late. This is only the first of a ton of videos coming your way on everything Hour of Devastation, and while we just began our coverage, I have to know what you're thinking. Where are you with the set so far? How is it looking to you? If we only have these cards as a basis, then I'm feeling pretty friggin' good about it, not gonna lie. Hour of Devastation seems brutal, dark, and just downright evil. That's what I want, and I'm okay with it, so please let me know what you're thinking in the comments and we'll talk about it. Also, be sure to watch out for our next video where I basically lose my mind over the invocations in the set. If you haven't seen them yet, prepare your butts. And as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. Hour of Devastation is coming up fast and it's already looking spicy as heck. You can pre-order your boxes of Hour right now on TCG Player for $93 each. If you don't have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, I have your back. And the way the set is looking so far, I wouldn't miss out. Seems crazy. So if you want in, just click the link on the screen. Helps the channel. Bolus cards for everyone. Yay, enjoy.
What?